Most feared soldiers of all times. From ancient Spartan warriors to World War II Japanese soldiers, history's battlefields have bred some of the most ruthlessly effective and feared fighting forces the world has ever seen. In this video, we will look at the most feared soldiers of all times, from the disciplined Roman centurions to the fanatical Viking berserkers. We'll explore what made them so effective in battle, so feared by their enemies, and so influential in the course of history. Understanding the qualities that distinguish history's most intimidating warriors provides critical insights into the psychology of warfare itself. This knowledge could mean the difference between victory and defeat on both literal and figurative battlefields. Why soldiers need to be feared. In warfare, intimidation and fear can serve as potent weapons. Soldiers who strike terror into their enemies can shatter morale and sap the will to fight even before physical combat begins. Formidable reputations demoralize opponents, causing them to overestimate their foes while underestimating themselves. Tactically, the presence of famously fierce soldiers on a battlefield can force opponents into costly mistakes, as fear undermines strategic thinking. By cultivating soldiers with reputations for violence, ruthlessness, fanaticism, and even madness, commanders compound both immediate psychological impacts in battle and long-term symbolic threats to discourage future resistance. Apache warriors. Renowned for their guerrilla warfare skills and toughness, the Apache warriors were masters of ambush and attrition tactics. They leveraged stealth, tracking expertise, and detailed terrain familiarity to remain unseen until attacking suddenly. Preferring hit-and-run raids, Apaches demoralized pursuers with almost supernatural elusiveness, enhanced by physical stamina. Well suited to harsh southwestern American environments, they could reportedly track prey relentlessly for days without sleep or water when necessary. Striking enemy camps with little warning, warriors killed and vanished swiftly. Their signature warfare style mentally exhausts pursuing troops who never know when or from where attacks might emerge across punishing landscapes. Small bands, led by figures like Geronimo, evaded vastly larger U.S. forces for years, amplifying perceptions of Apache fighters as spectral vengeance emerging from unforgiving deserts and mountains. The Mongol Horde. The Mongol Horde, led by Genghis Khan and later leaders, spread fear across Eurasia with their remarkable speed and brutality. Trained on swift horses, individual warriors moved with precise coordination. This ability multiplied when they formed groups, strategically encircling and overpowering larger but slower foes using bows and lances. Once enemies panicked and lost order, the Mongols showed no mercy in systematically annihilating them. Their strategic speed and maneuverability in open battle spaces made it difficult for opponents to counter. Stories of cities filled with skulls and piles of severed heads became widespread. These shocking displays aimed to not only force immediate surrender, but also to instill lasting fear, ensuring ongoing compliance driven by the trauma and anxiety of past violence. The Mongols expanded rapidly by combining strategic prowess with intentionally amplified atrocities, projecting power far beyond their actual numbers. Ottoman Janissaries. The Janissary Corps of the Ottoman Empire was known for its strong loyalty and military skills for 6 centuries. They were recruited by taking Christian boys when they were young and converting them. The Janissaries became one of the first special forces in history, not tied to tribal, clan, or feudal loyalties. Their personal identities were put aside, and they dedicated themselves completely to the Sultan. They served for around 4 decades. The Janissaries underwent extensive training, including learning the Turkish language and adopting Islamic faith. Their training strengthened their unity and fighting spirit, which had sacred aspects. The Janissaries were pioneers in using massed matchlock musket volley fire tactics, which were considered cutting edge in military strategy for a long time. They led assaults that expanded the Ottoman rule in southeastern Europe and the Middle East. Their opponents were often impressed by their martial discipline and fearless courage. Wearing distinctive headgear and colors, the Janissaries exceeded in complex battles. Failure could mean execution for disloyalty, making their battlefield reputation even more formidable and unwavering. Medieval Knights. In the Middle Ages, knights were some of the most feared soldiers. They were powerful warriors charging on horseback, creating massive dust clouds that could be seen from miles away. These knights wore shining armor over chainmail and rode huge horses called destriers. Even before they reached their enemies, the gleam of their armor and the ground-shaking approach struck fear into the hearts of those who saw them. These knights underwent intense training to be able to handle 12-foot lances with precision while wearing heavy 80-pound suits of metal. Charging at a speed of 35 miles per hour, their lances could pierce through multiple opponents like cannonballs hitting a target. Once off their horses, knights fought on foot using shields and various blades, cutting through enemy formations with brutal efficiency. Their impressive armor, towering height, and formidable weapons made them incredibly intimidating in face-to-face encounters. They exuded dominance and zealous determination, especially when embarking on religious crusades or conquests. Despite this fierce exterior, there was a romanticized side to their image, with ideals of chivalry and courtly culture framing their brute force in a righteous light. This mix of piety and noble reputation, combined with their reputation for ruthless warrior prowess, was evident in the shining armor that symbolized their presence on the battlefield. Feudal Japan's samurai, legendary warriors, struck fear across East Asia. They were known for their strict discipline and skill with weapons like the katana sword. Their way of life, governed by Bushido, focused on mental strength, teaching them to face death and hardship with indifference. Samurai underwent intense training to develop deadly skills and cultivate warrior souls. By detaching themselves from material and mortal concerns, they achieved unwavering loyalty and adaptable tactics to serve their lords, even at the cost of sacrifice. Most feared and respected, the very mention of the name brings to mind precise swords used with deadly precision amid chaotic battles. While modern portrayals often romanticize them, true historical samurai prioritized spiritual growth to master the art of killing. Their unwavering commitment to perfecting the skill of death made them artists, priests, and living blades, honed against humanity's deepest fears. Zulu Impis. The Zulu Impis were special groups of skilled warriors divided by age. They were known for their fast tactic in battles. These warriors were really good at fighting up close. They would quickly surround their enemies using coordinated shield formations and then attack with long, stabbing spears, called ikloa. One of their biggest wins happened at Isandlwana. It was a big deal because they defeated about 10 times more British soldiers. The British soldiers had advanced guns and cannons, but the Zulu warriors were quick and didn't have heavy weapons to slow them down. The British were humiliated because they thought they would easily win. The Zulu warriors moved fast and didn't have heavy gear, while the British soldiers struggled to keep up. The British soldiers had a hard time because they were not used to the Zulu warriors' aggressive tactics and strong shields made from oxhide. The Zulu warriors also used scary shouts to frighten their enemies. Even though the Zulus eventually lost to the British in later battles, they left a lasting impression. They showed that being quick and having a strong fighting spirit from their warrior culture could be powerful, even against advanced weapons like guns. This surprised the British, who initially didn't take the Zulus seriously. Vikings. Viking berserkers were known for their wild and fierce behavior, which caused a lot of fear. Even today, when someone goes berserk, it refers to the madness associated with these warriors. Before battles, these berserkers would deliberately make themselves very angry and out of control. This helped them focus better in a crazy way, allowing them to do amazing things like show incredible strength, not feel pain, resist illness, and be extremely violent. Stories about berserkers say that even when they were seriously hurt, they kept fighting while biting the edges of their shields covered in blood. They used these dramatic and scary actions to create fear before battles even started. Berserkers were used as shock troops, meaning they were the first to attack and break through defenses. After that, others would follow and take advantage of the weakness they created, combining shamanic rituals that connected them with animals and a strong desire for blood using Norse axes, Dane axes, and Atgir polearms. Berserkers moved in unpredictable ways. They attacked without following any specific plan or tactics. For enemies facing this kind of intense and brutal warfare, their ability to think clearly shuts down. All they felt was panic. They made mistakes, and unfortunately many of them died. Spartans. The story of King Leonidas and his 300 Spartans at Thermopylae showcases their dominance as some of history's toughest soldiers. Their reputation was so strong that the term Spartan became a way to describe unmatched bravery, unwavering determination, and extreme toughness. Trained rigorously from the age of 7, Spartans mastered the Greek phalanx infantry formation. This tactic involved soldiers using closely packed shields and spears, moving together like a well-oiled machine. The success of the phalanx relied on each Spartan putting aside their individuality and creating a united front without any weaknesses or doubts. They faced enemy attacks with disciplined silence, only responding when it was time to strike with their bronze shields and long spears. Spartans struck fear into their enemies by displaying an emotionless and relentless approach. They marched forward without concern for the challenges around them. Any disruption of their coordinated movement meant a quick and brutal defeat for the opposition. In this way, Sparta earned its fearsome reputation by instilling deep intimidation in their adversaries and claiming victory on the battlefield. Gurkhas. Gurkhas, soldiers from Nepal, are known for being part of the elite forces, despite being shorter than many other soldiers today. They've served in the British and Indian armies for 200 years, earning a reputation for brave discipline, even when faced with tough situations. Gurkhas use a special knife called the kukri, which is a heavy chopping knife with a handguard and two small blades behind the hilt. When they shout their war cry, Jaya Mahakali, meaning glory to the death goddess Kali, it's said that enemies pause due to a deep instinctual fear. In stories from today, Gurkhas are seen calmly attacking defended positions and armored enemies using just their kukris and hand grenades. They rely on their exceptional fighting spirit. This kind of bravery against advanced technology and warfare is like the core of asymmetric warfare. Even powerful modern armies take them seriously, acknowledging the courage of the Nepalese hill people, who consider their national knife a symbol tied to their very soul. They make serious promises to only draw it for a purpose as serious as causing harm or death. We have now counted down history's most intimidating soldiers, ranging from the ancient world Spartans to the relatively modern Gurkhas. Across battlefields separated by millennia, the thread connecting these elite fighting forces remains the same: sheer effectiveness honed by skill, and often fanaticism.